Hello there, people of the internet. If you guys have watched this channel, you probably know that I enjoy going on hunting trips. Now, although hunting trips are not anywhere even close to what you would expect in some sort of SHTF situation or something like that, they do involve me walking around for very long distances inside of very dense forests with my firearms. And that walking around and that practical movement and practical application with those firearms really shows me the limitations of what it is that I'm actually utilizing. And it shows me what it is that I do want, what it is that I do not want, etc., whenever it comes to my firearms. So I have a lot of people, especially with the types of crowds that my YouTube channel kind of brings to light, especially with the types of content that I make. I have a lot of people who absolutely want to avoid a lighter weight intermediate cartridge in favor of getting themselves a full powered rifle cartridge. Now, I do not have a modern day like battle rifle or anything like that. No self-loading full power rifles besides my M1 Grand, but that takes the M2 ball ammunition, and it's long story short, I just don't feel like digging it out of the gun safe. So for all intents and purposes, let's just say this right here is like a modern full power battle rifle. I know that it's not. Some people are going to tell me, hey, it can still be used for that role, and I'm sure it could in some aspects, but yeah, let's just, for sake and argument, let's say, just so we're comparing in some aspects, apples to apples, we're going to say this right here is a self-loading full power rifle. So the idea is that a self-loading full power rifle just has more power that is sent downrange than something like an intermediate cartridge firing rifle. Those self-loading full power rifles oftentimes need a very long full-length barrel in order to properly utilize that full power rifle cartridge. Now, you got yourself, in this particular case, 8mm Mauser, a really large bullet compared to intermediate cartridges going quite fast. This is an example of a full power rifle cartridge. This is 155 grain projectile. Should be traveling at approximately 3,000 or so feet per second. Versus something like 55 grain 223, maybe not this stuff right here, this is your cheapo tool ammo, but standard 55 grain 223 ammo from a 16-inch AR platform should be traveling at about the same velocities, but this is about 3 times the bullet. So that's a lot of weight going downrange. That's a lot of power going downrange very, very rapidly. 223 556 gets its capabilities from velocity. Well, that 8mm Mauser round has the same velocity, but almost 3 times the bullet. That's a full power rifle cartridge. A lot of people will prefer that full power rifle cartridge as opposed to the intermediate stuff just because it has more power and more capability. Well, people that tend to lean towards those full power rifles, they're either people who are not going anywhere, in which case I absolutely can understand wanting a full power rifle if you're just going to focus on defending your home front, or they're people who have not actually done anything practical with their firearms in terms of walking around with them or training with them or anything like that. So I have done a tremendous amount of walking around with my firearms in practical situations, and way more often than not do I prefer something that is lighter and handier and shorter, especially in the dense jungles that we have here in Florida. Anyone who's ever seen the jungles here in Florida, like, it's really difficult to walk through those bad boys. So getting yourself a shorter length rifle that's not going to catch on absolutely everything is going to be the best way to go in a situation like this. If you're somewhere like the plains of the Midwest, but you don't have to worry about your rifle catching on everything, then you could get away with a longer rifle, especially since out there you might be shooting at longer distances than I would be here in the state of Florida. Like, my max long shot, if I'm in an environment like the jungles, is going to be like 100 yards, if that, versus somewhere out in the Midwest where you're going to be rocking probably some sort of full power rifle so you can shoot at those farther distances. The only problem with that is if you have to get on foot and actually maneuver around and walk around, those full powered rifles tend to be exceptionally heavy. and they tend to be exceptionally less mobile than something like a lighter weight rifle. I know I don't have one, but my buddy has a couple of AR-10s that I've utilized, a couple of times now. I've checked them out, played with them, and my AR-15 platforms are significantly lighter than his AR-10 platforms. This right here is actually an aluminum upper and lower receiver. I have one that is a polymer lower, and I have had one that's a polymer lower and polymer upper with steel inserts, and that is an incredibly light, incredibly handy little rifle. I don't necessarily know that I would trust the polymer upper for a long-term situation, but I do know that it was extraordinarily lightweight, and I was able to walk some pretty significant distances with that rifle to be able to, well, do things. It doesn't matter what it is that you want to do if your rifle's too heavy for you to be able to get to the location that you want to do it at. So, yeah, mobility does matter depending on the types of mobility it is that you need. Here in the state of Florida, where I'm in jungles, I want like something lightweight and something short. Or if you are, say, in a city, maybe you don't need that full power, full length rifle. Maybe that would not be a very good option for you. You might want to end up leaning towards something that is a little bit shorter and a little bit handier. With the AR platform, you do get better capabilities from your cartridges if you use a longer barrel. Personally, I really enjoy the 20-inch barrel, but I wholeheartedly see the benefits of having a shorter 16-inch barrel. Honestly, I would probably go shorter if I did not have to deal with the legalities that were implied. That's where I'm going for, the legalities that are implied with trying to get yourself a shorter barreled rifle. So I don't want to jump through those hoops, so I am fine with the 16-inch, and yeah. So you're going to get less velocity from that 16-inch barrel in comparison to a 20-inch barrel with a 223 5.56. You could go with other cartridges to where the shorter barrel does not have nearly as much of a impact. Like, for example, 7.62 by 39 or 300 blackout or something like that. The shortening of the barrel has significantly less impact than the shortening of the barrel on something that is a 223 5.56 cartridge. Like, if this right here, maybe not this stuff right here, but standard 55 grain velocities from a 20-inch barrel is about 3,200 feet per second versus from this 16-inch should be about 2,600 or so feet per second. Or not 2,900 or so feet per second. You might push that 3,000 feet per second depending on your ammunition and your quality and whatnot. But that velocity from the ranges that I'm still shooting at, which is within 100 yards, is absolutely adequate. So, yeah, being able to move around with my rifle, even if it is going to be less capable than the rifle that would be the full-powered rifle, or the rifle that would be the same rifle but longer, I would definitely want to move around easier. A lot of times you're going to be moving around with your rifle or your firearm, even if it's not a rifle, way, way more often than you're going to be actually utilizing it. And if that's not the case, you are in a really bad spot. So that's my 2 cents on the situation. I'm going to go ahead and close out this video. Thanks for watching, folks. I do appreciate your time. Like, subscribe, share. Description below has a link to all sorts of stuff. Go check it out. You guys go off, have yourself a fantastic day, and I will see you guys on the next episode. Since I've done this. Bonnie and Clyde be damned. Poor man's Garen.
It's a shame that bolt-action shotguns aren't more mainstream.